My dear INFP, over these past few weeks I made some videos telling 3 different stories. They're all more or less true. I told those stories because I wanted to share with you what it means to be an INFP without using the language of MBTI. At least that was the intent. I think that I ended up telling stories that are more about the human condition and not just about INFPs. Those 3 stories I told, one was of a young kid, one of a teenager, one of an adult, and part of being an INFP means that you and I, we each have our personal subjective views. Those stories that I told are my stories or my truths and experiences. You have your own stories to ponder. So if you look at it one way, I told stories about a kid and a toy shovel, one about a teenager who likes to spend time walking alone, and one about an adult who saw a rainbow. It's all pretty Dulles stuff. But the bigger importance here is the broader themes. INFP, you and I, we're in service to something bigger than ourselves. In every story, I introduced it by talking about magic. But magic's not really the right word. It's not really what it is. Call it reverence or in search of a state of grace. It's in the way that the sun hits the grass when it's covered with frost on a meadow. You can feel it through the warmth of the coals in a fireplace. You can hear it in birdsong. And you can view it, as many INFPs do, in the sky that we share. Whatever that is, the it is that I'm trying to reflect in these themes, it's up to us to try and inhabit that and to hold that state of grace. You and I, we're going to strive for it, and we are going to do it imperfectly. That state of grace is almost impossible to hold on to. And in a way, it's also horseshit. See, that's the challenge that you or I are going to face. That there's truth to this, but it's also wrong. It's false. I think I've used this analogy before. It's building castles in the sand that have lots of meaning. Build them up and then tear them back down. FI and NE are unforgiving in that way. It's permanent reflection, and at the same time, nothing that it views is permanent. So, INFPs are supposed to be butterflies and unicorns and rainbows. All that stuff is just tarnished garbage. It's broken. It's stuff you throw into the dumpster out the back to get rid of it. And then next to the dumpster, it might be a dandelion that's struggling to grow out of a crack in broken asphalt, and that's beautiful. And then that gets run over and crushed. Regardless of all that, we all still have the sky, polluted sky, and the imperfect self that's viewing it, but it's still there. I'm 53 years old. I still haven't come entirely to grips with my own nature. And INFP, you and I don't think it's possible. It's something that's meant to be elusive. So in that respect, your role and mine, the cognitive challenge of this stack, whether or not you choose to accept it, I'm kind of stuck with it, it's to reflect and to build. It's to tinker and tear back down and build back up again and then tear it back down. You're just going to have to make peace with the fact that you and I, we may never feel like we're making any progress. And something that's a revelation today or a resolution, it's not going to last. It'll be gone again tomorrow. All I can do is recommend that you and I, that I've leaned into the process and continue to do so. You get outcomes, impermanent as they are, you still get outcomes. And there is this moving forward. It just doesn't feel like progress. It's sort of a permanent move sideways that does lead to some place. So I can only recommend keep going and tell your own story. Tell it in whatever form it needs to be told. It's going to be true this way. It'll be false in some other way. It'll feel true today. It'll feel false tomorrow. The day after that, guess what? It'll feel true again. And truth be told, stories need to be told. It's like a dance that needs to be danced. A tune just needs to be played. This stuff has a life of its own, and it just needs to come into existence. I don't know why. Like so many things, it just is. You didn't ask to be this way either. Neither did I. But here we are. So I do continue to try, and I would suggest that you try as well, to search for reverence and to try and hold a state of grace for when it's possible. Grace doesn't really exist. The only meaning in this world is what we give it. At the same time, this view is both sacred and it's blasphemous. But it's all the more reason to try and hold this state of grace. Because if we are living in a world where there is no magic, where everything that I've said from the beginning of each story talking about magic is a lie, or at least a lie today, and maybe a truth again tomorrow, if this is a world without purpose, then it seems to be especially important that the likes of you and I hold reverence, whether or not there are things to hold reverence for, and try to keep in a state of grace. Thank you for listening, and, well, I hope to come back with a lighter topic again soon. Bye for now.